President Donald Trump is threatening an enormous attack on Iran's energy infrastructure if Tehran doesn't allow free navigation through the strategic Strait of Hormuz. CNN's Eleni Giokos joining us live from Dubai. Eleni, Donald Trump then threatening Iran with an enormous punch on Iran's energy infrastructure should Tehran not, quote, open the strait within 48 hours. It's not at all clear whether Iran will heed that warning. All signs are that they won't. The impact of that choke point and the effect of a shutdown in energy sites around the region continues to have a huge impact on the world economy. Asian markets will open first, of course, for Monday trade. What's expected?
John Soto, this is SotoCast. Thank you so much for joining me. Let's see what they talk about here. Obviously, we all know what's going on here. We all see the gas prices. We all see the diesel fuel prices. We all see what's going on. I guess he's going to give it a go, see what he can do. Hopefully, I don't think they're going to back down on this. Obviously, I mean, Iran. I think when he's declaring that, he's basically saying, he's telegraphing that they are going to do another major attack. And let's see what CNN has to say about it.
We are feeling it around the world already, I think, Becky. You can see inflation inputs basically across the board, whether it's energy, whether it's, things like downstream products on jet fuel, other products across the world. I think that speaking to a lot of corporates, they're really worried about what it's going to do to earnings down the line. And this is why we're starting to see a lot of concern coming through, and even in the markets and the equities. But just focusing on President Trump's line on if the Strait of Hormuz is not opened within 48 hours, that he's going to hit and obliterate power plants, and he's going to start with the biggest power plants in Iran. So clearly giving them an ultimatum. Iran, for its part, coming up with a statement today saying that all vessels can pass through the Strait of Hormuz as long as they're not linked to what they say is the enemy. So we're talking about US and Israeli linked vessels. Now, how they apply that rule remains to be seen. We've heard just another vessel was impacted by an unknown projectile just off the coast here in the UAE in Sharjah. So we're seeing around 22 vessels that have already been impacted since the start of this war. And that, of course, creates a lot of nervousness from shippers. Iran also saying that if any of its power plants are in fact targeted, that they will retaliate. They're focusing on desalination plants, they say US assets, as well as other critical energy infrastructure. So rhetoric definitely has been escalated. The big question is President Trump going to be happy with the line of, well, anyone can pass through the strait as long as it's not US and Israel linked vessels? And then importantly, that whoever wants to pass through the strait will have to coordinate with Iran for security guarantees. In the meantime, we have heard that 22 countries have shown interest to assist in securing the strait. How and when that will happen, still not answered. In the meantime, interestingly, over the weekend, we also heard President Trump saying that he wants to start winding down the war. So in terms of the inconsistencies we've been hearing specifically from the United States, Becky, this now 23 days into this war, the Gulf nations have borne the brunt of what we've been seeing in these strikes against the region, specifically on critical energy infrastructure.
This threat that was issued by President Trump on Saturday Night Iran, as you saw, a very direct threat to the Iranians, saying if they do not reestablish free navigation or allow for free navigation in the Strait of Hormuz and completely reopen it, then the U.S. will potentially strike some of their energy infrastructure. Do you see this as perhaps the president really feeling that mounting political pressure that you and I have discussed for the last several weeks?
Well, it's also, it is the president either by design or impulse, just sort of careening in his messaging on the war. Literally just days ago, he said incorrectly, as it turned out, but he did say that the U.S. Was not informed of the Israeli attack on Iranian energy infrastructure. And then,
I know it's very hard for you guys to. Probably the majority of my watchers don't like watching CNN, but I think it's very important, right? Because I think it gives us an idea of. You have to have a perspective on what's going on here. So, is the messaging inconsistent? It could be. That could also be part of the idea. So we're a little over 3 weeks into this war. We're trying to put a pin on it. The guy who he was just walking with before, Marco Rubio knows that if this thing becomes a quagmire, his political future is over. Forget about VP, forget about anything, forget about President of the United States. This thing will hang over his head for the rest of his life, relegating him to, it's done. He'll have a career somewhere else, but in terms of politics, it's over because, this will be just they'll be able to beat him over the head with this forever if it doesn't work out in the end. We're not at the end yet. The end needs to come quick. The end needs to come decisively, and everything needs to start stabilizing. So it seems like this attack where obviously we know the Iranians are not going to, they're not going to just open it up. We all know that. That's the only leverage point that they have. If they open it up, they are basically saying we give up. So it seems like these strikes are probably going to happen. They're probably going to attack some major infrastructure points within Iran. Then Iran's going to retaliate. They're going to hit they're going to hit whatever they can. However, it'd be interesting to see at this point now if we do this attack. Everyone's saying that Iran still. It depends on what side you're on. One side is saying they don't have anything left. The other side is saying they can take the United States out if they really wanted to. And there's somewhere in the middle. You know, they definitely cannot take out the United States. They definitely do have more than nothing left. However, the capability and how intact those systems are, that's the question. Because obviously they've been getting hammered through the past 3 weeks. Once these other facilities are attacked, let's say they are energy facilities and things of that nature, those also might impact the capability of them striking back. Also, there are a lot of, what I'm saying is there are a lot of factors here. He may want to do this as like, you know, another notch, another weakening, another thing that gets that destabilizes the region, causing this uprise that everyone's saying that they were going to see, but we haven't seen yet. So, you know, it's going to be tough, man. It's going to be tough. They really have to thread this needle. Like I've said before, the one saving grace that I see at this point now is that Marco Rubio, because of his political aspirations, because of the fact that he wants to, you know, be the guy that is running for president in 2028 and have, you know, potentially have, you know, the presidency. This needs to go his way. He needs to be able to if Iran is not a feather in his cap, or if it's rather a thorn in his side, he can't become president in 2028. That is a glaring, like it's as clear as day. So for him, he knows everything is riding on this. It is ride or die for him when it comes to the situation in Iran. It's either gonna catapult him and he is gonna blow past JD Vance and you know, just become the next the potential president of 2028 unless the other side wins, or he's never going to see the light of day in political office ever again. It's going to be one or the other. It really is. And I think he knows this. That's another reason why he's also like, I'm sure the Cuban thing is right around the corner. Venezuelan thing's right around the corner. The Panama thing. All these other things seem like they're playing well. But this is the big one. This was the big calculus. Like this was the biggest roll of the dice that they took when it came to this. And it's not, as of right now, has a very poor taste in the majority of people's mouths. I know that what the polls say. The majority of the polls, I think, there are people that are still watching cable news and stuff like that. But the majority of the groundswell of people that are watching YouTube, that are getting their sources from other news from other sources, they're not down with this. The vast majority of them are not down with this. The vast majority of independents are not down with this. The Fox News watching boomer, they're fine with it. Like I said, they have the Mark Levin, the Sean Hannity. They are towing that line. They are in the pocket that, you know, we got to eradicate this, we got to do this, this has to be done. That is a demographic that is slowly fading away. And I'm sure Rubio knows that. He's not going to get across the finish line with just Fox News people, with Fox News watching people. He needs the people that are watching, consuming other media, the 25 to 45 year old people that are not, you know, sitting in front of Fox News all day long. And that's kind of the saving grace. That's kind of the one thing that actually keeps me hopeful when it comes to this potential quagmire, is that the political calculus of these people, they're not stupid, they're smart, they know what they're doing. And I don't think they would be shooting themselves in the foot if they thought, but then, you know, they could have made a mistake. They could have, maybe this is a check they can't cash. That's a huge possibility. But I think that in Marco Rubio's mind, he thinks this can get done relatively quickly to where his political capital can still remain intact, if not be bolstered by it. So, I mean, with that being said, I don't know if CNN has much left on this, much meat left on this bone. Let's see what else they got here.
military force in some way, then he doesn't need NATO. But I think, the posture of this administration toward traditional allies has been kind of indifference at best and diffidence and actually derision at worst. And, the response of the NATO allies to this is what you might expect from those 15, 16 months of this kind of behavior. I mean, the president has, really not shown a lot of interest either in making the case to this to our traditional allies, why this was necessary to do other than Israel, and certainly not to the public at home. I mean, there's kind of been this sense that, we have the force to do this and therefore everybody else, including the Iranians, would fall in line. And, in the end, we may get an awful lot of what we want out of this war, but we are certainly not getting it at as low a cost as he expects. And the biggest thing that we thought we might precipitate, which is the collapse of the regime, seems nowhere in sight. And again, President's response when pressured, almost always his first response is to escalate, to threaten more. Like, right, NATO isn't doing what he wants. We may reconsider our relations with NATO. And that is what the military planners call escalation dominance. But it does not seem to be completely in our hands at this moment.
We're now joined by Miran Kamrava.
I mean, listen, you could say whatever you want it is about CNN, but I mean, the guy for the most part he's not terribly wrong. I mean, I think that NATO is a joke. We shouldn't be a part of it, but it's an old, outdated thing. It's not necessary. We're dumping all this money into all this stuff, and for what? We know for what, for the military-industrial complex. But other than that, I don't know what else good it does for us, for the people as a whole. But let me know what you guys think. If you guys are still here, please hit the subscribe button. I really need subscribers. That's all I ask for. If you want to like, share, and do all that stuff, that's cool too. But subscribing is the number one thing. Thank you guys so much for all the new followers here. Let me know what you guys think as far as the Rubio idea. Like I said, I think that's the one thing that's kind of interesting to me. And I was just pondering that notion that he's hanging his hat on this. So it's all or nothing for him when it comes to this issue. And he is a relatively smart guy. So let's hope that all of the eggs that he's putting into this basket are not all going to crack. And because in the end, we will all end up paying for it. Guys, thank you so much for joining me. John Soto, SotoCast. 6283 Talk is my account on X if you want to follow me there. Thanks a lot for coming out. See you in the next video, guys. Take care.